There is a famous quote by American strategist Henry Kissinger: "America has no permanent friends or enemies, only interest." For India, this has never been just a quote. It has been a painful, recurring lesson throughout our history. And in August 2025, we are learning it once again. Let's start with the latest flashpoint. On August 7, 2025, a 25% reciprocal tariff was imposed on a wide range of Indian exports, with an additional 25% penalty announced to take effect on August 27, bringing the total duty to a staggering 50%. This punitive measure is among the highest levied on any U.S. trading partner. And the stated reason? Trump outrageously claims that India is funding Russia's war in Ukraine because we continue to buy Russian oil. Here, the U.S. is showing sheer hypocrisy. Firstly, China is the largest buyer of Russian oil, and the European Union is the largest buyer of Russian gas, yet neither is tariffed this harshly. Secondly, U.S. officials know that India's oil purchases are driven by the needs of 1.4 billion people and basic market prices. In fact, America itself encouraged countries to buy Russian oil in early 2022 when prices were sky high. Yet today, they choose to punish India alone while giving others a pass. But as always, the truth is more cynical. This isn't about morality. It's a negotiating tactic. As former U.S. Ambassador Kenneth Juster admitted, these tariffs are a negotiating tactic designed to strong-arm India into a trade deal and pressure Russia, using our economy as a bargaining chip. Consider the numbers. In 2024, the total trade of goods and services between the United States and India was valued at an estimated $212.3 billion, an 8.3% increase from the previous year. India exported goods worth $87.3 billion, while imports stood at $41.5 billion, giving us a trade surplus of $45.8 billion. With the new 50% tariff in effect, nearly $48.2 billion of Indian exports will be subjected to these duties. Sectors like textiles, jewelry, and machinery will suffer the most, as they operate on razor-thin margins. The U.S. is India's largest market for gems and jewelry, accounting for goods worth $10 billion last year, nearly 30% of our sector's global sales. That market is now under threat. Meanwhile, Trump has conveniently excluded phones, energy, and medicines from the tariff list. In just the first half of 2025, Indian companies exported $11 billion worth of smartphones to the U.S., a major win for Apple, which is preparing to launch the iPhone 17 next month, while shifting more of its manufacturing from China to India. So once again, American corporate interests are protected, while Indian sectors with weaker lobbying power are punished. This sudden betrayal comes after months of quote-unquote friendly dialogue. In February, Trump and Modi were all smiles. By August, Trump was sneering that India's economy is, quote, dead, and our trade policies obnoxious. This whiplash proves how quickly America's attitude can swing from warm to hostile the moment we refuse to bend. Today, it's tariffs over Russian oil. Tomorrow, it could be something else. But should we really be surprised? History tells us no. Take the 1971 war that led to Bangladesh's liberation. The U.S. loves to boast of shared democratic values with India, yet in 1971, Washington openly sided with Pakistan's military dictatorship as it committed atrocities in East Bengal. When millions of refugees fled to India to escape genocide, Nixon and Kissinger dispatched the U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet, including a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, into the Bay of Bengal to intimidate India and tilt the balance toward Pakistan. Between 1954 and 1971, the U.S. shipped Pakistan some $2 billion worth of weapons, including the very Sabre jets and Patton tanks used against us in the war. Fast forward to the 1999 Kargil War. Our army desperately needed GPS data to locate Pakistani infiltrators entrenched in the mountains. The US-controlled global positioning system could have provided a decisive edge. But what did Washington do? They flatly denied India access. deliberately degrading GPS signals in the war zone so that our forces were left fighting blind. This betrayal was a rude awakening. But India rose from that setback. Our scientists developed NAVIC, our own satellite navigation system, ensuring we would never again depend on foreign powers for such critical technology. Today, NAVIC provides secure regional navigation for both civilians and our armed forces. And America's betrayals aren't limited to India. Look at the Kurds in Syria. They were America's most loyal allies against ISIS, losing over 10,000 fighters in that struggle. Yet in 2019, the moment their alliance became politically inconvenient, Trump abandoned them overnight.
Let the other people take care of it now. Very soon we're coming out.
He withdrew US troops and gave Turkey a green light to invade, leaving the Kurds to be slaughtered by the Turks. Imagine, people who fought shoulder to shoulder with American soldiers were discarded because their usefulness had expired. As Kissinger once said, it may be dangerous to be America's enemy, but to be America's friend is fatal. Despite all this, many in India are growing complacent under the glow of Indo-Pacific rhetoric, Quad summits, warm hugs, and grand announcements of defense and trade deals. Yes, our relationship with America has deepened in the last 2 decades, but it has also increased our dependence. India has been buying more and more American weaponry. C-17 transport planes, P-8I surveillance aircraft, Apache helicopters, M777 howitzers. Just recently, the government approved the purchase of 31 MQ-9B Predator drones in a deal worth over $3 billion. But let's not forget, America has a notorious habit of using arms sales as leverage. Turkey, a NATO ally, was sanctioned and kicked out of the F-35 program when it defied Washington. India could face the same fate if we're not careful. We cannot afford to replace over-dependence on Russian arms with over-dependence on American arms. That's just swapping one master for another. Remember 1998. After India's nuclear tests, the US imposed sweeping sanctions, freezing all military cooperation overnight. So what's the solution? It isn't isolation. The solution is self-reliance, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and diversification of partnerships. India must expand its export markets aggressively beyond the US and Europe. Latin America currently accounts for just 3.5% of India's exports, about $15 billion, but this share is growing. By deepening ties with Latin America, Southeast Asia, Africa, and other regions, we can safeguard our economic future from US volatility. And we are already moving in that direction. We are selling BrahMos missiles to the Philippines. We are negotiating deals for Tejas fighter jets and Prachand helicopters with Argentina. We are providing entire air defense systems to Armenia. This is exactly the diversification we need. Keep strong ties with the US where interests align, but also maintain good relations with Russia, France, Japan, and even China when it serves our interests. Notably, after the tariff announcement, Prime Minister Modi signaled a subtle shift by scheduling his first visit to China in years. That's realpolitik, sending Washington the message that India has options and will not be bullied into compliance. In this video, I want to send a loud and clear message to my fellow Indians. Don't trust the US blindly. History shows that when push comes to shove, Washington will choose its interest over any friendship, and India must be prepared for that reality. We can be friendly with America. We can collaborate when interests overlap, but never assume that America will sacrifice its interest for our sake. India's destiny must rest in Indian hands.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel for more such videos.